Hello and welcome to 21st Century. I'm Daljit Dhaliwal. For many in the Horn of Africa, the constant threat of war and drought leaves nothing certain. Losing a flock of sheep can mean the end of a whole way of life, and rural women are especially at risk. But some are determined to change their odds. We travel to Somaliland, a self-declared autonomous state in northern Somalia. A life of dust, sheep, and camels. But this is when things are good. Sometimes life is precarious.
My name is Sahra Diriye. I once had 1,500 sheep and goats, and drought killed them, and I was left with only 3. They ran out of grass and water, and without grass, what could they eat? You can't shake water out of a dead tree. I couldn't save my flock. My worst fear during the drought was that when my animals died, my children would die too.
Because of the drought in 2011, Sahra returned to her native village, Birato, in Somaliland, a self-declared autonomous state in northern Somalia.
I came to the village to live with my family, my mother, father, and auntie. They helped me restock, and now I have 15 goats. At the moment, I'm doing well, thank God.
Sahra and her family were able to survive intact, but for rural women in Somaliland, that's rare. For most, losing a flock means the end of a whole way of life. Women like Sahra typically have no legal or economic power and, critically, no control over land. She can't sell or buy sheep herself. Only men can. And if she were to lose her flock entirely, she could never return to the tribal grazing lands. When that happens, all too often, this is where women end up.
Before I came to the city, I lived in a village. I had a farm and animals. I lost everything and came here.
Drought forced Fatima, now in her 60s, to flee to the Somaliland capital, Hargeisa, 4 years ago.
I took a mortar and a pestle and started pounding grains to survive.
Fatima works 12 hours a day for almost no pay. The women here have no control over the price and supply of grains, and no security.
Drought and hardship made me look like this.
When people lose their flocks, they lose their livelihood. They lose everything.
Aminas has seen this same story play out all too often.
When they go to the city, they can't really adapt to the life in the city because they don't have the skills. Some of them have never even seen a city before, and they walk into a total poverty, complete displacement.
Amina grew up in Barato but was given asylum in the United Kingdom during Somalia's civil war in the 1990s. She came back to her home country to see if she could help women like Fatima and Sahra. Financed and managed by the United Nations Democracy Fund, she launched her own project with the Women's Integrated Network.
The project we brought here originally was basically to raise women's awareness of their rights. And from that, we learned all the obstacles. Because once you tell people they have rights, it's not just you have rights, but how can we make these rights possible?
Now, for the first time ever, hundreds of rural women like Sahra are being trained, firstly to know their legal and human rights, and secondly to become leaders.
As women, we have decided to come together as a committee. At the moment, decisions in the village are made by the men. We've seen it with our own eyes. So why wouldn't we want to change that?
Those power dynamics are borne out in Sahra's own family. They are semi-nomadic, moving the flock a few kilometers several times a year. But while Sahra and her aunt transport and build the traditional akwal hut, men, in this case Sahra's father, determine where to find new grazing sites. And while women watch over sheep and goats, men control the lucrative camel trade and the family income. But the Women's Committee has already made a difference, successfully pushing to bring female teachers into the village school for the first time. As a result, girls' enrollment has increased by 70%, and now women too come in for classes, including Sahra, who is helped by her 6-year-old daughter, Ifra.
It's important that we learn to do maths. When we exchange things, we need to know arithmetic. You need to be knowledgeable with your mind and the pen, so you can do it yourself.
The women's next goal is to ask the village elders to set aside land for a hospital. The elders' control of land is at the heart of political power in Birato.
At the meeting we had, there were 3 girls. All the 3 girls, their mothers died the same week, all of them from maternal health problems.
A hospital would not only lower the high rate of mothers dying in childbirth, it would provide 100 jobs for women, another way of ensuring that they, like Fatima, won't be forced to leave.
I was born a strong person. I wish I could have a different life. I wish I could find a place of my own for me and for the other poor women workers, a place to rest and to work less hard.
In the city too, Aminas' organization aims to defend the legal rights of women like Fatima by training young female lawyers. 21-year-old Nemo has discovered that the women laborers are paying taxes but don't receive any services in return.
What is very sad is that they don't know about their own rights. So we realized we could teach them. We want to help them understand better what they are entitled to.
Both here and in Birato, the goal of Aminas' project is to help all these women stand up for their rights. As they move forward, they are met with resistance at each step.
I always hear from the women what their husbands say, and they're saying they're complaining, they're suspicious. Sometimes they make stories that can be damaging. For example, they say, maybe this woman is too modern, don't talk to her, she's gonna drive you crazy, it's not good for your daughters, all kinds of things.
Women are capable of doing anything. Why not? They have the knowledge, they just need a plan. With a plan, they can do it.
Sara is a very strong woman. She's one of the women who really want to make changes in here. And in my heart, I really want her to become at least a leader for this village.
In practice, Sahra already is a leader. With Amina, she finally gets a promise from the village elders to discuss the proposed hospital, a potential game changer for the village and its women.
God willing, change is coming, and today it's a reality. My people, my nation, my harvest, and my land. Women are driving all of these. It's not just men.
Soon after we left Barato, the meeting with the village elders took place, an event the women filmed and photographed themselves. The result? Setting a historic precedent. The elders agreed to mark out a plot of land for the hospital and signed a rare written document giving the agreement legal recognition. For Barato's women, it's a glimpse of a very different future.